All right, welcome in. It is time for Total Bases. It is Tuesday. Had to think about that for a second. Forget what day it is sometimes, but Tuesday is always $5 Tuesday at the WagerTalk site. I'm here with Tokyo Brandon, Bryan Leonard. We're going to hit as many baseball games as possible over the next 45 minutes. And I'm going to start. Well, let's start the same place we did yesterday. Yankees Mariners heads over to TBS tonight here in the States. National TV game. Winner for me last night on the Mariners, Bryan Leonard, my only client play. It was nice to win in walk-off fashion for once after getting walked off multiple times over the weekend. So the Mariners get it done 2-1. Used a whole bunch of relievers in the process. Now you got Max Fried, Logan Gilbert. Definitely a matchup worthy of national TV. So talk to me about Yankees Mariners. Do you see it going the other way, or are you back on the Mariners tonight?
Yeah, congrats on the Mariners. If you've noticed, I'm wearing my glasses today because I haven't been seeing the card well so far this season. I had a small play on the Yankees. I only had small plays yesterday in baseball, but it's been a rough start. You're right. Both these guys are people you like to back. We're actually getting to the point now in the season where we've got a little bit of information behind us, and I know that means a lot to Tokyo Brandon. Is he doesn't use a lot of last year's stats, and maybe I shouldn't have either, because it's getting off to a rough start. But hey, let's get him back tonight. Gilbert going for Seattle tonight. He's one of my favorite pitchers. He's going at home. I've talked many times about how well these Seattle pitchers pitch at home and they struggle on the road a little bit. But he's been very good against both lefties and righties. He's probably going to play 6 lefties tonight. And he's got a 31.7 to 5.9 strikeout to walk ratio in that regard, which is very similar to what he does against the righties. So he's very good. He doesn't have any problem going lefty or righty, and neither really does the pitcher for the Yankees going today in Max Fried. He's very much the same way too, slightly better, I guess, one or the other, but not major differentials like you see many times in the lineup today. It's like Ohtani's only going to face one left-handed batter probably, or one right-handed batter in the Cleveland lineup tonight. But like both these pitchers, the offenses have been hit and miss so far for both these teams. Obviously, when you take a look at this line, we are seeing basically it's somewhat of a pick. I mean, the Yankees are slightly favored in the 110 to 115 range, total of a 7. Normally, I'd say the under here, but the Yankees do have one of the best hitting teams in Major League Baseball. It's when like the Dodgers or the Yankees are playing, it's tough to play unders because the offenses can go off at any time. So I'm seeing the line basically what I thought it was going to be. So there's not enough on me here to make it a play. And because of the way we've been playing lately, I don't want to force anything. So maybe Brandon has something better than I do on this one, or maybe yourself.
Yeah, go ahead, TB. You had Max Fried on opening day, a nice easy winner with the Yankees in their opener out in San Francisco. So now you get Max Fried around second time. I think he went 6 1/3, 2 hits, no runs. Look really good on opening day. How do are you riding it with Max Fried here after that opening day effort?
He did look good on opening day, and Gilbert didn't look too good on opening day. So, yeah, what do you do with these guys? Well, take a look at the bullpens. I think the Yankees bullpen, I mean, Seattle's known for their bullpen, but the Yankees bullpen is playing really well right now. Like Bryan said, we're starting to build up some stats now so we can kind of judge how things are. But, these guys have only played one team so far, or one series so far, and they're on their second team. So take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. But yeah, the Yankees bullpen is playing well. On my Twitter, Tokyo _Brandon, I put up the today's pitchers and their OPS against the team they're playing against. And Max Fried's OPS in 63 at-bats against these batters that he faces today is 620. And I've said in previous shows that 750 is kind of my Mendoza line. So he's under the Mendoza line. It means he does pretty well against these batters. You might be surprised to know that Logan Gilbert's OPS in 74 at-bats against these guys is a whopping 914. That's not very good. The The one caveat to these stats, and I put the whole list of every starter up on my Twitter X, Tokyo_Brendan. The caveat to this though is you don't know how recent these numbers are. They could be 4 or 5 years ago. And generally when I do my stats, I only consider last year and partial 2024 at this point. So some of these stats for long in the tooth pitchers like Castillo and even Fried's been around for a while. Some of these might be from 6 years ago. I don't know. And I can't differentiate. So that's the caveat. But it is telling to know that Gilbert has been rocked by these guys, at least at some point in his career. Particularly Stanton and Judge both have over 1,000 OPSs against him in 10 or more at-bats. So that's relevant. I like the Yankees. I made a free play video about this. I sent it in. That WagerTalk might not have uploaded it yet, but it's on their YouTube channel. I like the Yankees on the money line. I think it's good value. Their bullpen's in good form. They have Aaron Judge. They have Max Fried. It's Yankees or nothing for me.
Yeah, listen, go ahead.
I might make it my parlay leg.
Listen, I can't really argue there. I thought Fried looked really good in his opening start, and like you said, Gilbert he battled against the Guardians, but that I don't think is a very good Guardians lineup, and they got to him for enough. It wasn't a bad start, but you're right, TB. It was not. When you're betting on Logan Gilbert, you kind of need better than that. Typically, where he's priced. For me, yesterday, I just came to the conclusion that okay, I've got the Mariners rate. Do my power rankings. I have the Mariners 1, I have the Yankees 2, and I kind of sat there and said, wait a minute. So I could get the team that I have 1 against the team that I have 2 at -105. I'm not at a pitching deficit, and all my bullpen guys are healthy. That was ultimately my rationale with landing on Seattle last night. Something I found interesting. I saw WagerTalk Gianni, our coworker Gianni the Greek, who if he's going to give something out, you should probably listen to it. He posted his MLB power rankings to the WagerTalk site yesterday in a video, and he didn't have the Mariners in his top 5. And I said, okay, I'm surprised that it almost seems like there's like a pretty polarizing opinion when it comes to this team. For me, though, the pitching that they have is why I have them so high. And last night, to close that game out, Jose Ferrar to Bizzardo to Spire to Brash, that is really, really good in my opinion. That's as good as you're going to get, but all 4 of those guys pitched last night. So we're early in the season. I still think you probably see some of them here. I don't think anyone went crazy with pitch count, but it's not as good of a spot for the Mariners as last night was, in my opinion. So I think with giving Fried the slight edge over Gilbert, I'm kind of with you, TB. I think I'd go. I think it would be Yankees or pass for me as well, right here. Brian, sorry, did you have something to add there before we move on?
Nope. I'll put up a finger in case I have something to add.
Brian in the finger.
All right, there's plenty of other games to get to, so go ahead, TB.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut in. It's $5 Tuesday, by the way. All 3 of us will certainly have a play up today for $5. I have a 4%er up, so in MLB. So just wanted to throw that in. Make management happy.
So we will move along. Yeah, I'll bring up the parlay yesterday. It was 0-3. But guess what? Friday, the parlay went 3-0. And when you're doing parlays, I think that's right. That's how you'd rather have it. Although I know some people bet the best bets individually. So anyway, listen, Hurt. I don't know if the Jays being ashamed of themselves. Listen, you want to know something even more ridiculous? Here's even more ridiculous. I went and did a 10-minute, my under the radar segment yesterday. I did 10 minutes on Cody Ponce and how I expected this like breakout of him. And the poor guy pulls a hamstring or he leaves the game injured. He wasn't pitching bad into the third. I think that if he made the play, the run probably would have come in, but the stuff's looking decent. And I think that's the reason, the Jays, they lose their starter in the third. They have to kind of go to the bullpen earlier. And once it went off the rails, it just kind of went off the rails. So we can go back to that series here. So I'm going to go to Brian. Brian, talk to me about, man, I feel like I maybe cursed Cody Ponce. He's back in the States for the first time in 4 years, his debut with the Blue Jays. And I don't know how much I might have put him on the IL for a couple months after that. But let's go to that game. I'll go to you, Rockies, Blue Jays, and what did you see there?
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a serious injury. And I think that took the air out of Toronto because they've had so many starting pitchers get hurt this year. This is a team coming into the season, expect to go back to the World Series. So they continue to lose their starters, and they just don't have the depth to do it. I think that's what it is, an in-game thing where you just, oh, my God, here we go again. But today they got Feltner going for Colorado, and we talked about it. We like Colorado better this year than we have in the past. Still, the Road Rockies, everybody writes it up as an automatic win. But like I said before this series started, they're on the road. They haven't been in Colorado yet. And when Colorado travels from home to road, that's when you can take advantage of the Road Rockies. Feltner going for Colorado. Scherzer going for Toronto. Big favorite here. They're about the 175, 170 range, 8.5 to the under slightly on this one.
270.
270. Yes.
Yeah.
Scherzer joined the team late because he was a late signee, but from everything we have seen in the spring, and that we haven't seen a lot, he looks really good right now. He's a dog out there. He's going to make sure this team is ready to go in this game. I've never been much of a Feltner fan, but do I want to really lay this kind of number with Toronto? I'm not sure. I think there's better ways to make money on the card. So I'm passing. But you would expect from a veteran team that happened to yesterday, would expect a nice bounce back. But baseball isn't like a physical sport like a basketball or a football. So it's you have to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt.
Yeah, I think for this one, listen, like you're still paying a sort of a massive premium to back the Blue Jays. I was more inclined to do it yesterday with the -1.5 because I felt like we had such a nice pitching edge. I'm not sure that the pitching edge, even with Feltner, I don't think it's as pronounced here. My numbers suggest that Rockies +1.5, which is now 4-0 on the season. We brought that up on the first show that would be a good way to play the Rockies. It's 4-0 against the number. I think that's how I would go again. I'll tell you what, one thing about the Blue Jays, they have nothing at the AAA level right now. I don't know where they're getting reinforcements from unless they have very, very little in the pipeline in terms of like big league ready pitching. So that is rough for them to lose Ponce. And like you said, probably lose him for a long period of time. Yeah. Tough loss right there. Rockies +1.5. Yeah, it's still undefeated, 4-0 against the number.
We'll see how long.
TB, I want to come to you. I want to move it along to a different game. One that I agreed with you on yesterday. Just it didn't work out, and that's the Tigers and the Diamondbacks. And kind of something that we brought up was, listen, Arizona's still probably going to hit. So lineup still, they still have a respectable lineup. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, Perdomo. There's offense there. Verlander yesterday didn't have it, and Arizona was able to sort of pound their way to a 9-6 win. I think you were a day early on the Tigers. I think I'm kind of leaning toward the Tigers here. I was wondering if you're willing to come back with Detroit out in the desert tonight.
So this is what's interesting. And I was watching that game last night, and very interestingly, as soon as the Diamondbacks took a 7-0 lead and their starter came out of the game, I said, they're going to come back. They took their starter out, I think after the 5th inning, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I was like, they're going to get 4 full innings on this bullpen. They're going to come back. And they almost did. So yeah, I agree with you, Adam, and your sentiment there. I think, that Arizona bullpen is bad. They got nobody. But they hit a lot. So like I said, in the very first show that we did together this season, look for a lot of overs with this team, especially in that ballpark. Bullpen is atrocious, but they got some solid hitting. I mean, Carroll whacked it last night. I mean, yeah, it was a good game for them. Taking a look at the OPS rankings, though, Mize has a 529 OPS against these batters and only 33 at bats, and Fott has a 1,160 OPS against these batters in 25 at bats. So definitely pitching advantage to Detroit. A definitely bullpen advantage to Detroit. The problem is their hitting is just flaccid. So if they can get any kind of, I love that word, if they can get any kind of run production, they should be able to win this. But you know, it's like in football when like Toledo's playing Hawaii and it's like 75-70. You know, it turns into these kind of games. Can Detroit, you know, put it up and keep up with the Arizona bats? That's the question. So I'm going to stay off this game. Over would be the only way I would go in any Diamondbacks game for the rest of the year.
I mean, you can't make a MAC football reference without bringing Bryan Leonard in. So if you're going to throw, you're going to throw the MAC conference in here, we got to get his take on this. I guess the question I would ask you, Brian, you know, Casey Mize I was pretty anti Casey Mize at one point. And
last year, I think you were.
Yeah. We both
yeah.
were.
And he sort of like won me over in the respect that like, I feel like he's kind of reinvented himself. I don't know that he's certainly not a fade for me at this point. TB, I'll echo your sentiment. The Diamondbacks bullpen is bad. I mean, it is a problem. So, you know, yesterday they don't really need the bullpen. They built themselves up such a big cushion. You know, I see the Tigers at even money here. It's hard to not to like want to take a shot with that price. Brian, you know, G Hurt in the chat. Let me pull his comment up. He says, you know, snakes are past today. Casey Mize in the bump. You know, AZ going to hit the bottom of the rotation. I don't know that I agree with that being like a deterrent for me to be on the Tigers. So, you know, how are you seeing Mize, the Tigers, and, you know, talk to G Hurt there?
Yeah, neither one of us really liked Mize last year, but I agree. He's grown on me a little bit. Brandon Pfaadt for Arizona. As I said yesterday, a lot of these pitchers have looked really good at spring training, and it's been blown up in my face. Panic yesterday. But Pfaadt has looked good. And keep in mind, he was highly regarded as a minor league or big strikeout guy. It hasn't really been that way in the majors, but he was terrible last year. No doubt about it. You get so many starts from the year before and you go, God, how many times am I going to lose on this guy? It's tough to come back and back him. But the line, to me, looks about where it should be. I expect both pitchers to have a pretty good game here. This is a pretty good hitter's ballpark, so I don't like to bet the under in this one. But I'm not finding an edge here either way. I think both these pitchers are going to have better seasons than what they saw in the past.
Yeah, I mean, if he ever figures out the secondary stuff, again, he could be very good. That fastball is a big fastball. You know what, Brian? I'm going to stay with you, and then we'll get Tokyo the next one, just because Blister Bets here says, "Thank you, Brian, for your breakdown on the Dodgers-Guardians game yesterday. I wish I played Guardians first 5, but the under first 5 won me some good coin. Messick pitched very efficiently.
He was great.
Yeah, he did. That was a great call. Guardians, I mean, you know, Brian, I think now we're both in the mode of like the other shoe to drop mode with this team, I think, because they did look good yesterday. And so I'll go back to you, Shohei, Ohtani, Tanner Bybee. Looks like the matchup tonight. So talk to me, Dodgers, Guardians. When do we start fading the Guardians, I guess, is the question.
Well, as much as I talked up the Guardians in yesterday's game was because of the starting pitcher, and he was great. And I like the fire he had. Something to keep in mind for the rest of the season. I've always liked, he's the best pitcher. And I mentioned that yesterday. I think he's the best pitcher in the organization for starting pitchers. But the problem was I used Cleveland over 1.5 first 5 runs, and they only scored 1. Now they had other guys on base. I thought they were going to score. So I'm probably the only one out there that didn't play my entire handicap and ended up losing. What are you going to do? 1.5%. But anyway, you got Tanner Bybee going against Ohtani today. And when Ohtani starts as a starting pitcher, if you're a prop player, I like to bet against his props from hitting because he's got something else on his mind. If you take a look at his stats when he's DHing as opposed to pitching. So if you're a prop guy, I'm not really. I follow it a little bit, but I don't give out a lot of plays to clients. But he hasn't done well in that regard. But Bybee they pulled him early in the last start. He had some problems, but a few days later he said he was great. So they were really originally concerned And but no, everything seems to be good for Bobby. I'm not a big fan of this Cleveland offense. They have some guys right now hitting over their heads, and so it's a team I'm looking to fade overall. But do I really want to lace anywhere from 235 to 270 on the Dodgers here? It would be Dodgers or nothing for me, but I think there's other ways to play it as opposed to the straight up. Cleveland's bullpen is still very good. Dodgers have a very good bullpen. Maybe Dodgers first half and try to find something with that, or maybe Cleveland team total under first half, something to that effect.
Tokyo, Brandon, you're good at in the other ways to play the bigger favorites department. I feel like you do a good job at this. So I'll bring you in here. Can you find a way to play the Dodgers here? Try to circumvent this large price.
I can't, unfortunately. If anything, I would play like a Ohtani pitching prop.
Okay.
Like I would play his outs under, perhaps. If you look at his early season starts, he generally comes out of games pretty early, and the Dodgers do not want to get him injured in his first start. So any kind of outs prop under, perhaps, especially if it's 15.5, definitely play an under, but you're probably not going to get that number. You're probably going to be 14.5, probably. His strikeouts, I have him projected at 6 strikeouts and 14 outs recorded. So I would look at that if you have to bet this game, but I think there's other ways to make money today.
And that is what we are here to ultimately find. Working our way through the chats. Obviously, if you're new to the show, hang around. Last 15 minutes, we'll be giving out the best bets for the show. But this is the period of the show where we do things like try to talk people off of plays they don't want. G Hurt says, someone talk me off the Nats again today. So I'll go to Brian. I mean, I guess the quick thing I would say is like maybe Andrew Painter has arrived. I guess that would be the way you'd look at like potentially not being on the Nationals. This is a guy that I feel like Philly has been waiting forever to come up and be in the rotation, and now he is in the rotation. So, Bryan Leonard, can you talk G Hurt off the Nats today?
I'm glad somebody asked for this one because this is probably going to be my play in the parlay today. P.J. Poland is going for Washington. He's been installed as a reliever. He's already pitched twice this season coming out of the bullpen. He's a lefty. And if you take a look at his breakdowns, he's a lefty that doesn't have a lot of control. Against lefties last year, he had a 32.6 strikeout percentage, which is very good. But his walk percentage against lefties was 15.2%. He wasn't a whole lot better against righties, but his strikeout rate went really down. 18.1 dropped from 32.6 to 18.1 when facing righties. His walk rate was still 11.1. So you've got a Washington pitcher who I'm assuming is only going to be out there for an inning or two, and he's had control problems. Philadelphia's a veteran team. They should be able to draw some walks here, and I think that's going to be good for them. The problem with Washington is we've talked about this bullpen being the worst in Major League Baseball. Cole Henry's usually their 8th inning guy. He's pitched 2 of the last 3 days. Brad Lord is their 7th inning guy. He threw 51 pitches yesterday. He won't be there. So that leaves Clayton Beater along with the rest of the bullpen that are the worst of the bullpen arms. So there's a way to play this game, and it's not going to be on Washington for me. When you're looking at the Phillies, we've all heard about Andrew Painter, excited for Andrew Painter, but it is a game in which people have been waiting for. So you're looking at, the line out there is anywhere from like 175 to 190. I like the Philadelphia spot, but maybe we'll look better at the team total. Let's take a look at the team total here for Philadelphia. You can get, and it just goes anywhere from 3.5 to 5.5 right now. I'm seeing a 4.5 out there at minus 140. I like the Philadelphia team total over. I'd even lay it for them to get 6 runs and get plus money back. So let's take a look at that. I like the Philadelphia team total. I'll even go the 5.5 here. I'm pretty confident they're going to have a lot of success against this Washington pitching staff. Let's look at playing Philadelphia to score 6 or more runs, and you're getting them about a plus 105 or something to that range. So I'll go with that. I think Philadelphia gets to this Washington team this game right here.
And Brian, just to clarify, that was Phillies team total over. What was the price on that?
5.5.
Over 5.5. Okay, perfect. We will, and we'll recap the parlay at the end of the show. I'll just say a couple words about Andrew Painter quick before we move on. Major league debut. He's only 22. I think that's like the thing that's like he's been. If you follow the minors and the prospects, he's been around for a while. Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago. They really protected him last year. They could have easily called him up at some point last year, and they just, he was coming off of an injury. It wasn't like he was just totally dominant in the minors, and that's the luxury when you're the Phillies and you're going to win 100 games. You don't need to bring a guy like that up and potentially expose him to the big leagues and have him, get his confidence shattered and stuff. So now he's had an entire offseason. This was the 13th overall pick in 2021, and the organization's very high on him. I think it's part of the reason that they were willing to let Ranger Suarez go, knowing that they expect him to hold down a rotation spot this year. So I'm pretty high on him as well. I think he's going to be pretty solid, and so yeah, I'm with Phillies correlated stuff in this game. I still think the Nats are awful. I don't know how they win games, to be honest with you. This team's going to start losing games soon. So, TB, I'm going to go. I see you, chatting it up with Leg Show Magazine in the chat. I'm going to go to Leg Show here, and I'll send this to you. He brings up the A's 0-4, straight up in first 5. Yeah, the A's not off to a great start. Who would have thought that? Oh, we did, because we said that probably would happen on our opening show. So the 0-4 A's heading out to Atlanta tonight. Well, staying in Atlanta. Looks like we've got a couple of journeymen on the mound, Aaron Savale, Jose Suarez. How are you seeing this one, A's Braves?
I won the Braves yesterday. So yeah, I was pretty happy about that. Let me address 2 things in the chat very quickly. One person asked, what does F5 mean in your plays? It means first 5 innings. And then someone else said, leave it to Brandon. Say that Washington is trash, and then they come out and win. So yeah, if you need Cody Ponce to come back off his injury, just let me talk trash about him, and he'll probably come back and win the Cy Young. So anyways, so to address this one, the A's are another team that, man, their pitching is not performing, but they have their 1-2-3 is really nice. They're whacking it really good. Not much of a bullpen. So this is another team I look to a lot of overs on. I really want to play the Braves in this one, but a couple things holding me back. Number one, 2 in a row. I'm not one of those guys. I treat every game as kind of its own entity. So I don't really do the like streak or on a roll kind of thing, but recently I haven't been able to win the same team 2 times in a row. So it's kind of a voodoo for me. It's kind of a taboo for me. So I'm not sure if I'll do it, but the price is pretty nice at -140. The Braves seem like they can win. Those 1-2-3 lineup for the A's though, that scares me a little bit. Rooker and Soderstrom, man, they can whack it. But their pitching is terrible. If anything, I would take the over, but Jose Suarez is kind of a X factor for me here. So those 2 factors are keeping me off. The 2 in a row thing, and then the Jose Suarez, I don't really know what to expect from him.
Yeah, I listen.
And Brian's got his finger up.
Oh yeah, no. I'm going to go to Brian here. I was just going to say
Okay.
that's going to be the conundrum with the A's this year, because they do have some really, exciting offensive players they're going to hit, but you're going to have to factor in some pitching that, again, I think, Brian, and I'll go to you to sort of, talk on this. If their young pitchers don't like step up big time this year, I don't know how this staff isn't near the very, very bottom of the league.
Yeah, I would agree. The problem with the A's is, from a hitting standpoint, is they're striking out all the time. They're setting records for strikeouts. I believe they've had the most in their small sample size, the most strikeout percentage, highest strikeout percentage in Major League Baseball history. I mean, it's been terrible. So your first thought would be Jose Suarez strikeouts over. But if you take a look at what he did last year against right-handed batters, and he's expected to see 4 right-handed batters out of this lineup, his strikeout and walk ratio was exactly the same, 11.9. How often do you see a walk rate the same as a strikeout rate against right-handed batters? Now, he's a lefty, so that's he's done pretty well against lefties, 28.9 compared to 10.5 in the walk rate. But against righties, I don't trust him at all against any right-hander out there. So yes, I don't like him at all. And but the A's batters are not hitting. Maybe it's an underplay. Who knows? But yeah, Oakland right now is just swinging, or Sacramento is just swinging for the fences, and they're not getting it done.
It's a really good observation. There were some awful swings in that Blue Jays series, like straight up, just not even close, just hacking up there. And G Hurt says, yeah, close your eyes and swing as hard as you possibly can. It looked like that for periods of time in that opening series for sure.
25 strikeouts in 3 games.
Yeah, that's not going to fly. I mean, maybe when you're playing in Sacramento and when you hit one of those pop-ups, it goes out, but it is not probably not a winning strategy. And it's something that I feel like we forecasted on our very first show of the year. I think we all were kind of in agreement that maybe the market was too high on them, and going forward.
Put it in perspective. If they struck out 25 times, you get 27 outs per game. So they struck out an entire game. It's hilarious.
TB, I'm coming to you here. We got Frank Gomez with a donation, so very much appreciate you. And he says, thank you, gents. I hit on both unders for Pirates, Reds, and Giants, Padres. Tokyo Brandon, nice. Love your outs list. If you have it for today, please share. So over to you, TB. Are you sharing that today? And this is also your window for a best bet, so take it away.
Okay, best bet. I'm going to do the Yankees here. I think they're going to come back, take them on the money line, -112. I already broke it down on my Twitter at Tokyo_Brandon. I will, since Mr. Gomez asked me specifically, I will put it out later today before the games. It might be in the evening, but check my Twitter. I will put it up, I promise. Today's theme is WKRP in Cincinnati, by the way, and I'm Johnny Fever. So,
yeah, all the Twitter handles are right there on your screen. TB, that's something he tweets out. I think somewhat regularly, daily. A couple times a week,
basically daily. There's so many lists though, so I choose which list to put out today. But if he wants the outs, I'll put the outs out later. Yeah,
I mean that's it. You ask it on here, and we try to get it to you. So TB is going to make sure you get that outs list. Check that out on his Twitter. Also check out his page at WagerTalk.com. I think you said 4% play that's up for $5 today so far.
Yes, sir. Yep.
4%. 4% are up for $5, and then we all will have something as part of $5 Tuesday. That's site wide. Any handicapper on the site, $5 play at WagerTalk.com. I'm going to head to Bryan Leonard. Bryan, dealer's choice for you. We already know what your parlay leg is. Pick a game, and then let's the three of us hit that game before I get to my best bet.
All right. Well, let's look at Boston and Houston. That's expected to be two very good teams going. Bello against Brown. Brown's about a 145 favorite, total of 7.5. We've talked in the past about how at least myself, and I think Trig agrees, Brian Bello, it was the wrong starter to give the big contract to. Never been much of a Bello fan, but he's performed better than what I thought he has the last couple of years. Brown is very polarizing. I know a lot of guys in the fantasy community think he's going to have a letdown this season. Other guys think he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So it'll be interesting how this one comes out. When I take a look at the two teams, I'm not a Houston fan this year. I think Houston's going to come up a little bit short. They're a team I'm looking to fade. And I think Boston is clearly, at least in my regard, the better team. So you're getting the better team as a nice underdog price here. Yes, it's on the road, but Boston's always been a pretty good road team. I think there's a little bit of value here on Boston, although I'm not a huge Bello fan. I'm leaning that way. And the money it's pretty balanced here, so it's sticking in that same range. But I'm just wondering what you had thought here. I do want to point out that I've got a 4% play in hockey going tonight. Won our hockey play again last night. We had Toronto Maple Leafs, a big underdog, winning in every sport once again, except for baseball. So it'll turn around. The glasses are going to do it today, folks. But wondering what your thoughts are on this Boston game, because I think there's a little bit of value on them here.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it is March 31st. We have plenty of time to get in the plus in the bases, and I would say handicappers, players on the field, the element of randomness those first couple weeks is just playing in temperatures like, I mean, it is pouring rain. It's cold out in the Northeast right now. It's like those first couple weeks are a battle. So don't sweat that. We'll absolutely get there with the results. Before I kick it to TB, I'll just talk about the Astros. Yeah, I'm in full fade mode with the Astros. The only reason I haven't done it yet this year is because I couldn't really find. I mean, their opponents so far were the Angels, who I think are atrocious, and the Red Sox, who, I had the Red Sox on Sunday, and just the way they lost that game, I didn't like, losing in that manner, not really hitting, blowing a 2-0 lead, and then kind of having to turn around, go to Houston, because I thought about the Red Sox yesterday, and boy, am I happy that I didn't get involved with them, because they completely no-showed that game, an 8-1 loss. So yeah, like I'm certainly looking for spots to fade Houston, but once again, I'm with you, Brian. I don't know if I can get down, with Bayo on the road here, given how the Red Sox have come out of the gate 1-3. That's tough. That's tough for me to get there with them. So I'll bring TB in. Why don't you give us your thoughts? Red Sox, Astros. How are you looking at this one?
Okay, yeah, I've never been a Brian Bayo fan, but looking at his OPS against these batters in his career, it's right on the Mendoza line. And I am a Hunter Brown fan. He might be polarizing, but I'm in his clique. I think he's great. I think he's on the precipice of being elite. I got him ranked really high according to my numbers as well. So neither one of these teams really hitting that well. So I would look, the fact that I like Hunter Brown and the fact that Boston's bats seem a little cold, but Astros bullpen's not performing well. All of that kind of makes me lean to a first 5 team total under. And I just went and looked at it. For some reason, the books are switching back and forth for both of these teams. The full game, you can get either team 2.5 or 3.5. And for the first 5, you can get either team 1.5 or 2.5. So that's kind of strange. But I think the Red Sox first 5 innings under 2.5 would be a pretty good bet if you can get it. I haven't pulled the trigger on that, but just, since you mentioned it to me, I just did a little quick research, and that would be the way I would go if you can get a 2.5 for Boston in the first 5. I think that would be the way. I think Hunter Brown's great. His OPS against these guys in his career is 607. It's a little bit under the Mendoza line. It's not electric, but it's good enough, I think.
Yeah, this is, G Hurt references. He saw the, WagerTalk posted Gianni's clip where he gave his top 5 Major League Baseball teams out. He had Red Sox at 5. I don't think he's like off on that. Like, I think the Red Sox are definitely they're definitely in my top 10. I will say this, and maybe I'll loop Brian back in here. I had a hard time ranking this team coming into the season. Like, I want to believe in them, but then I watch what I watched the first 4 days of the year. And I know, I came onto the show yesterday and said, hey, don't overreact to 4 games, but I couldn't watch the last 2 days and then like justify being on them here. So help me make sense of that.
Well, the reason why I think the Red Sox, there's a lot of people believe in them, is that they've got a lot of pitching depth in the minors. Crochet's great. Sonny Gray, very good, very solid. Connolly early brought up early, and he's great. We saw that just
looked great. Shouldn't have taken him out, in my opinion. Continue.
Yeah, and Suarez. I've never been much of a Suarez fan, but in Brian Bello, but they've got guys down there in the minors that are really good. Peyton Tolley, I really like him. He'll be up in no time, and they've got some other guys that are very good. So from a depth standpoint in the starting rotation, they've got probably more depth in that regard as anybody in that division. And I think that's why Boston, there's a lot of people like Boston. Plus, they've got a lot of good young players. Roman Anthony's terrific. They've got so many good outfielders that they tried to trade Jarren Duran, and he wouldn't let him trade him because he had such a great spring and he performed well last year. Willie Abreu he's going to be one of the top hitters in baseball this season. And I like the move of bringing in Kalen Durbin. The guy's got some speed. He plays two different positions. They've got a lot of good young players on this team. So the future in Boston is very good, I believe. And in the next couple of years, they are going to be the team to beat in this division. So I like Boston, but I don't think I would have had them in my top five.
Definitely not.
TV,
What about the Mariners?
I'm going to come to you, TV, because I think as I listen to both of you talk about that, I think you said you like the under, Red Sox under, or like something correlated with Hunter Brown. I'm looking at the chat, and they're pro Hunter Brown, and I'm like, watching the Red Sox swing the bats the last 2 days, I don't think that's a terrible way to look at this here.
Yeah, I mean, Boston's not swinging the bat that well, and they have Roman Anthony, but I mean, they're a pretty mediocre team as far as I'm concerned. I think the Mets are a lot better than Boston. I think the Mariners are a lot better than Boston. There's no way Boston is the fifth best team in MLB, in my opinion. But this is why they play the games, right? But they do have.
It's why we can bet. If everyone thought the same, we wouldn't have a market to bet in.
Yeah. Exactly. But I'm a big Hunter Brown fan. I think he's good. I think he's really good. But and I think he's getting better actually. So. We'll see though. I mean, now that I'm backing him, he's probably going to rupture an Achilles tendon or something. So we'll see. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, we always make fun of ESPN because they talk about shit that nobody cares about and argue about it. VR, I don't think in the 3 years or the time we've been doing this show, 2 years, we've mentioned VR or Johnny, whatever, on this show. And because of putting out something like this, he's getting a mention on this show. And that's one of the things that ESPN does. They throw out something and somebody will make some, not that this is a bad comment, he probably does have them in that regard, but somebody will make a comment about something and they can spend a whole hour talking about how wrong it is.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think I had them 9. So it's not like I've still got the Red Sox a top 10 team. Yeah. Shane in the chat says they can't hit right now. Yeah, that is true. But this is where it comes to like baseball, small sample. Drop this in the middle of July. No one cares. No one's like, oh, the Red Sox, well, they can't hit. So for me, it's going to be finding a spot to back them. I am pro. I just want to make that very clear. I am pro Red Sox and finding a spot to get back in with this team. I just don't know that it's here. Maybe it's tomorrow. I thought it might be yesterday, and I'm glad I talked myself off of that. So for me and the way I think and the way I bet, because I talked myself off of that yesterday, they lost. I think I can I'll see another, I'll try to like in poker, I'll check. I'll see if I can see a free card here and then look to play them later in the week. As far as the parlay is concerned, we already talked about my leg as well. I'm going to use the Tigers, even money. I'm at minus 113 on what the Tigers should be favored here. It's not a huge edge, but it's good enough to close out the parlay. I think if they do get in a close game, we both talked about, the starters maybe being like a wash here. I'd much rather have the Tigers in a close game than the Diamondbacks. So, Bryan Leonard, I'm going to go over to you. Can you tell me what the price, the juice was on your team total over?
I believe it's plus 105. And if you can't get the team totals, I'm fine with Philadelphia. You're getting minus 177 in some books right now. So if you can't get a team total, I'm fine with Philadelphia. It's a little bit high in what I normally use, but I don't want any part of this Washington pitching staff in this game.
And the final point before we close it down, Jack is like, I don't think Gianni meant the power ratings don't mean much until 2025 games in. I think what he's saying is don't marry, like, if you've got him there, I think you're just not changing if you came and did all this research coming into the season, you shouldn't be like abandoning it on 4 days of regular season play. I think that's probably the more pertinent like point to make about power rankings. Brian, you're nodding. Is that kind of what you're interpreting as well?
Yeah. You're not gonna if you work for 3 months on doing all your work, you're not gonna throw it away off of one series or whatever. So yeah, that's a great point.
I never pay attention to power rankings. I only care about the matchups today. I don't care about power rankings at all. So I don't pay attention to them.
But it's not that you don't care, TV. It's just that you're forming yours more in season. So like, I think what you mean to say is you're not as married to like a projection. You want to go off the data that's like in the like that's coming in from the games, which is kind of how I bet minor league baseball. So I get it. Like, and I'm starting to gravitate more toward that at the big league level anyway. So I think
I don't care how a team is in general. I care how they are today.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair point to make. We've hit the 45-minute mark. So let's recap the parlay one more time before we sign off. Tokyo Brandon is going with Yankees minus 110. I'm going to use the Tigers on the full game money line, even money. And then we've got a team total from Bryan Leonard. He says Phillies team total over 5.5. That's plus 105. If you can't get the team total in the parlay, I'm with you, Brian. I think a Phillies money line, you're going to obviously win a little bit less. It's a favorite, but I think that might work there as well. And we'll be back, as always, 9 a.m. Eastern every day here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. More
$5 Tuesday.
Total $5 Tuesday all day today. All handicappers, check out all of our pages. We've got the double play special. Even though it's Tuesday, the double play special is still there. You can pick 2 of us at a very reduced rate. And we'll be back in the morning tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern for more total basis. Have a great day, everybody.